Chalk and Cheese by Janice Lepherd of Mount Annan 2567. Narrated by Janine Penfold. I look out of the window of my room in the nursing home and watch the colourful birds looking for seed, and marvel at the colours of the flowers and shrubs. I am old now and cannot do what I took so much for granted in my youth and young adult life. My mind drifts back to those early days when I came to Australia to marry a man 20 years older than me. He was a widower and had corresponded with me for 2 years before arranging for my journey to Australia. He needed someone for companionship and to look after him, and felt that having me live in as a housekeeper would set the neighbours talking. So we married a few days after my arrival in Australia. My English was not good, my native language being Chinese, and I found everything so very difficult, even though I spoke 4 other languages. He was a kind man and did what he could to help me, but when it came to meals, my cooking skills were sadly lacking for the Australian palate. My strengths in cooking were Asian, but he did not like this food, and I could not cook what he wanted. Sausages, mashed potato and peas being his favourite meal, and I did not like to eat this foreign food. Result was, he went to Red Rooster for his main meal of the day, and I ate my fried rice and steamed vegetables. Thanks to the kindly intervention of relatives and friends of his who gave me cooking lessons, I did master the basic skills enough to prepare and serve up good old-fashioned Aussie meals, and even began to like some of what I had prepared. I learnt to drive, and we discussed my having part-time work, which gave me my time, and I then worked for some years at a high school, organising the laboratory equipment for the use of students. I felt good about this, felt more like an Australian, and my English improved. Coping with visitors was hard. Making tea was foreign to me, as was trying to work out what to give them to eat. Most were kind and understanding, and gave me the confidence to keep going in this most unusual marriage. I was homesick, of course, but decided to give my all to this man who had in many ways rescued me from a challenging and hard life in my own country. Integration was difficult. The appliances used in the home, the cleaning products, using a sewing machine, bringing a plate to a neighbour's celebration, getting used to so many things so completely different to my way of life, all presented problems, and often I wished I had never left my own country. But hearing of the political unrest there and persecution of citizens, I appreciated that in Australia I was safe and had everything provided for me by my husband. So I endeavoured all the more to learn and to integrate with my new country and be thankful for my present situation. His family was very much against their father's marriage to me. They had good reason, I felt, as the newspapers often carried a report of an Australian husband being murdered by his imported wife, being pushed down a flight of stairs, or killed some other way. Oh, what awful accidents, after having taken over all his money. However, over time, they came to respect me, as I did them, and we had an amicable and rewarding relationship. They were interested in my previous life and the ways of my country. I was able to ask the ladies for advice on housekeeping and entertaining, and that time was so very pleasant to me, and I feel for them also. One thing they were interested in was my Chinese medicine. I was a follower of this and often was asked what a natural remedy would be for a certain condition. Exercise and diet were reviewed, and so was the acceptance of my way of coping with ailments and what could be done to improve general health. Gradually, my circle of friends increased. But sadly, my husband's health deteriorated and dementia began its merciless inroads into his brain. He was often so difficult and made things very stressful for me, but I always reminded myself of what he had done for me, and I willingly did all I could for him. Eventually, he was hospitalised and then died without returning home. The family was there for me and helped me in so many ways, and this was when I realised that there were now no barriers, that they totally accepted me for who I was, and I accepted them in like manner. The years slipped by and I grew older and slower in movement. I still tended my garden, my precious mango tree, plucking the mangoes and ripening them in a sack of raw rice. I still drove, and often I would take some of the family to an Asian restaurant for a family birthday or celebration. Lovely times together. But as with all folk, old age eventually caught up with me, and so I moved to this retirement village. The staff are pleasant and competent. There are no discerners of nationalities here. We are all treated equally and respected. And I am happy. So, as I look back on my life in Australia, I am thankful for the opportunities this great country has given me, and so very thankful to the man who rescued me, knowing that the cultural differences between us would be so great and difficult to work through. But we each respected and accepted these differences and were determined to make the marriage work. And it worked. So indeed, I can celebrate diversity, but accept that, like most things in life, it needs a willing heart and open mind, and a giving of all to get there in the end. The end.